What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and I hope we're all doing extremely well. Now, not only do I have a custom tactics video for you as well today, but I also have the top 5 tips and tricks and the best possible tips, in my opinion, to make you better at this game. Now, obviously, a lot of us have had the game from the start. Some of us are just coming to the game. However, with all the latest patches, the 9.1, the stuff they're doing behind the scenes and things like that, I mean, a lot of my settings did change recently, so I had my commentary switched on, which I didn't ask for because I'd switched it off previously. And so it's always best to refresh what you go through in this game. So I'm going to show you the top 5 things to change if you haven't already in this game. So let's jump into that first, and then we'll come back to the formations and the tactics afterwards. So yeah, I mean, the number one tip, the first tip that I give anybody when they're playing this game is always the defending side of things. So we're going to move straight across to defending, and you can see here, online you can't do anything. A lot of it is adjusted because it's set to competitive, so there is things you can change, there's things you can't change. Now, defending wise, you can change tactical defending and you can change it to advanced defending. And to be honest with you guys, I think the best possible option for this is advanced defending because it gives you full control over the defensive maneuvers. It does require a little bit of quick thinking, but at least you get to choose whether you want to do a stand tackle, whether you want to do a shoulder barge, whether you want to do a slide tackle. Whereas if you use tactical defending, it kind of makes that decision for you. You just have to press the button once and it can do a stand tackle or a shoulder barge. And sometimes it's the wrong maneuver for the situation. So therefore, to have full control, I think advanced defending is the best way forward. So that is the first tip I'm going to give you. The next tip will be switching. And again, I don't know how people have got this set up. I use player relative. If you use ball relative, obviously the ball. if you think of it this way, if you pass the ball from the semicircle of the 18-yard box to the centre circle of the pitch, it's going to bypass a lot of players. Now, if you want to go to the furthest away player, you're not going to get that. You're going to have to go through different players to get the switching. So for me personally, I use player relative. That's the best way forward for me. Yeah, and the next thing we're using is unvisual actually, and it's the next player switch indicator. Now, some of you have it on, some of you have it off. You can see mine is on. Next player switch indicator is on because that way you can predict, if you're using the L1 button and not flicking the right stick, you can predict which player is going to be switched to next. So I recommend you have that on because like I say, you can see who the next player is going to be. And then my camera settings, as always, is co-op. I don't use anything other than co-op. Co-op gives you a bigger area of the pitch to look at, and you can see majority of what you need to see. And then last but not least, and then the last one we're going to have actually is, I don't know how many times you've pressed the shoot button, the pass button, the block button, the slide tackle, blah 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 blah. You always it didn't work. It didn't do anything. Now, if you go down to if I can find it, it's on here somewhere. Input delay. If you switch it on input only, then what you'll see is your controller. You'll see your controller on the right hand side of the screen, so you can see your input. You can see your input from the game and what you're doing. So if you were ever unsure about you pressing the button, or you did this or you did that, you can go back and watch your footage back again, or you can see it in game, and making sure that your controller is working correctly, number one, and the game is registering the inputs. So that is why you always see the inputs on there. And obviously, if you have the input only, then you don't see your ping and connection because the input is in the way. But you can change it to local input and online connection and stuff. But I just have mine set like that. So yeah, for me, those are the top 5 tips I can give you guys at this point in time to try and make things a little bit easier. So yeah, let's just go straight back into how I've got this 4-3-3 set up, because that is the formation that we're using. It's a 4-3-3 with some crazy good players. It's ridiculous the players I've got at the minute, but I'm not complaining. So we have it set to balanced, and then we have it set to high 70. That is perfect for the 4-3-3 because you don't want to be caught short, especially with the type of players that we have in this game at this point in time. So again, as always, guys, let me drop in the gameplay, show you how this 4-3-3 works in game, and then at the end I'll show you the player roles. So now that you've seen how I've got it set up, I'll just show you how I've got the 4-3-3 set up. And as you can see in front of you, we all know how the 4-3-3 works at the minute, but with the players that we have available to us, and the sheer amount of different positions you can play them in. Like, for example, Bale can play left wing, right wing striker. You've got Maradona, right wing cam. I've got Rafael Leao that can play left wing or striker. The list goes on and on and on, and because we have different players that can play in different positions, it means that we can play from the start without having to mess around these 4-3-3 formations. And this one is the 4-3-3 attack, so it has the cam and the two CMs. But because you will find, because I'm in a higher division, a lot of my games now there's a lot of goals scored by me and my opponent. So what we have to do, we have to find a way around these games where we go 2-0 up or we go 2-0 down. And the game then, as this one is going 3-3, it's crazy. You have to find a way around this when you get to these higher divisions. It's not too bad if you're in 4, 5 or 6, for example. You can get away with a 2-3-0, 4-0, 5-0 win, for example. But the higher the divisions you get, you don't get that luxury. You concede goals no matter what you try and do. You concede goals no matter how good you think you are or how good the formation is. We always concede goals, and I think what we have to find is that balance of, okay, playing a really good opponent, he's probably going to score the same amount of goals as me, but can we get an advantage somewhere? And the advantage we get is from the way we have these custom tactics set up. That's your advantage. You can see there he overcomplicates the offside trap, and we get a nice little tap in. And that was the theme with this formation. What we were finding was, as much as we was conceding, we were scoring. But the most important thing about this formation and about the way we have it all set up is we were... That was crazy, that goalkeeper didn't save that. But we were scoring goals, and we were scoring more than our opponent. Now, of course, that's a given. You can see here we're 1-0 down already. 10 minutes been played on the clock. And a lot of the times, I do know a lot of people would quit in that situation. But come on, you've got to give yourself that chance to try and get back into the game, because the game is designed to go backwards and forwards, left to right, right to left. You score, I score. That is how the game is designed. Whether we like it or not, it is a very arcadey type game. It's supposed to be a simulation, but it is very arcadey. So that is why we look at these formations and we say to ourselves, okay, I will use what I have to my advantage, and I have players that fit this formation, so this is a formation that I'm going to use. Or if you have different players that fit in a different formation, we can do that as well. It's not a problem, so that is where we're at with all this. So yeah, like I say, we've been here long enough now to know how a 4-3-3 works, and because we're using a certain amount, so we're using 70 press, so we're not out of position that much, but we're also not sitting on the halfway line that we were before. We're in between. And also you will notice at the top of your screen there is I have my crossplay now turned on, because hackers are not so much there anymore, and it gives you a better advantage in terms of finding games and different opponents, rather than just sticking to what EA decide that is your level, basically. So yeah, definitely give this one a try. And what we're going to do now is we're going to stop talking a load of nonsense and we're going to jump straight into the tactics. We scored a lot of goals with this formation, and we're in Division 1, and we did play our foot champs with this as well, so it was a really good formation at this point in time, especially if you have players like Bale and Mbappe that you want to fit in your squad and you don't want to run a 4-4-2. Maradona can play in numerous positions, Zidane can play in numerous positions, so yeah, it's just a really all-round good formation at this point in time. So the left back and right back we have set to full back and defend. We don't need them helping us out. We have enough in attack. If we do want them to help us out, we can just manually send them on a run with an L1. The holding player, of course, is holding and defend. Our second CM, when I can find him, Jesus, what is going on? We're using Zidane. He's got numerous world-class roles he can play. So I have him on playmaker and attack. Of course, because he's on playmaker and attack, he will occupy the cam position. So therefore, we might as well put our cam on a shadow striker and attack, because effectively he's going to be a second striker. And then the left wing and right wing are both on inside forwards and on balance. If you have them on attack, you have nothing to help you out if you lose the ball. So best to keep them on balance. And then the striker, obviously, we have advance forward and attack. And it looks kind of something like this. So it is a 4-1-2-3 setup when you're attacking. And that's it, guys. Hit that like button if you like what you see. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if this type of video has helped you out. Those top 5 tips I think are definitely worth having a look at. There's your code on the screen right now. And until the next video, everybody take care and look after themselves.